Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged, USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you try their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course, those massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you've ever had as well. Also, those Wagyu and Angus Prime burgers. Wow! Whole nother discussion, folks. Gotta tell you, check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call and find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. An astounding round of applause for those steaks and chops. Boy, it's making me hungry. All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, all of our independents, everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, Wow Cable, thanks for joining us, and Hotel TV in over 600,000 rooms from coast to coast in every Nielsen-rated market. And by the way, here's a fun hat that I'm wearing. This is by our friend Jack McDowell. And, you know, Jack was on the show recently, and it's basically about old school baseball is better, right? And Jack says from the 70s through the 90s, I would almost argue from the 60s to the 90s. And we've got a guy here that's going to tell you a little bit about that in a moment. But if you're interested in these wonderful hats, it's a great hat. Matches my flag, matches my penalty flag. Anyway, also, check them out at, what is it, stickjack111 at yahoo.com. And you can get right in touch with Jack McDowell, Cy Young Award winner, three-time All-Star, Jack McDowell. Again, that's stickjack111 at yahoo.com. All right, now that we got that business out of the way, we're going to get to the business of baseball. And we have a special guest, and we're going to let him introduce himself. Go ahead.
Sal, thanks for the invite. Kurt Bevacqua here.
All right.
What can we talk about? What can we possibly talk about?
Where shall we start? Could we start with rule changes? That's not a bad place to start. What do you think?
Well, I think the rule changes are doing some things to the game. I think it's adding stolen bases. I don't necessarily like the idea of limiting a pitcher on how many times he can do something. I think the pitch clock has been good in most situations. I think there's a little refinement that can be done as far as the pitch clock is concerned. Because if I'm a pitcher, I'm taking advantage of a hitter that calls their first time out, the next pitch or the next two pitches, withholding the ball for as long as I possibly can. And that's something that needs to be addressed. But I think all in all, they're acceptable.
Okay. Now, once upon a time, I threw a baseball, right? And so I think about the idea of if I'm going to be limited in how many times I can throw to first. First of all, what it does is it says, all right, look, the first one we don't know, the first throw to first. Maybe you've got Ricky Henderson on first base. And, you know, there's a shot that he may go. But he may go on the first pitch. You never know. But then again, he may wait until it's a little later in the count for the possibility of the strike him out, throw him out situation, right? You never know. But my point is, you throw to first, okay, fine. Now, if I throw to first again and I don't pick him off, now we got a problem. Because you know, the odds of picking a guy off in the first place are not very good. Chances are that runner is going to go to second. He's going to steal. He's going to get a walking start. And imagine how many stolen bases a guy like Ricky Henderson would have in a time like today. Imagine that one. Pitcher is at the absolute disadvantage there, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I think baseball knows that. But they're trying to, you know, rev the game up a little bit. And I think they have with stolen bases. You know, naturally, they've made the bases a little bigger. They've eliminated big holes in the infield. I don't think we're seeing the athleticism that we thought we'd see from a lot of different infielders throughout the game of baseball. Naturally, with one or two, we certainly are, because those are the true the true athletes, the shortstops in the games, and probably the center fielders also. But you're finding out that second baseman and first baseman have limited range, where they're not getting the balls that maybe baseball hoped that they would get to on dives and things like that. So I don't think that's worked out the way baseball wanted to see it work out. And certainly the second basemen of the world wanted to see it work out. But, it's increased batting averages, and it's in some cases. And it's I think it's brought a little bit to the game, surprisingly, that I didn't know if it was going to be there or not. But it's brought a little bit to the game that I would put it on the plus side.
Okay. All right. I mean, look, I understand that the fans want more offense because people complain, baseball games are boring. Me personally, I love 1-0, 2-1 kind of games. I like the chess match. I was really upset when the DH came into the National League because you're taking a big element of strategy out of the game. But I understand people want offense. They want to see the ball fly over the wall. So Rob Manfred, well, let's juice the ball up a little bit, seemingly, right? Now the home runs are up, some huge number. Oh, now we have too many home runs. Let's dial it down a little bit. Oh, we don't have enough. Let's juice it up more so we have even more from the record year. And the marriage between Rawlings and Major League Baseball, to me, it's kind of a slippery slope.
What about that? I mean, there's a lot of people out there, maybe your listeners aren't in that group because evidently you talk about it. But Rawlings is owned by Pete Seidler, who is the owner of the San Diego Padres, and his partner is Major League Baseball. That's crazy to me. I don't understand not only how that can happen, but also how knowingly that they can adjust the baseball to their advantage or disadvantage, whatever, however you want to look at it.
Right.
It's that's the worst thing that I think has happened to the game recently, is finding out that baseball knows a hell of a lot more than it admits it knows. And I'm talking about steroids, starting back with steroids, and also going up to the juice baseballs, and also the sticky stuff on the balls. Major League Baseball knew about that for years and years and years, and they just let it go. And then all of a sudden, it gets out into the public and into the media, and they need to make themselves look better by making a change, and they did. They stopped pitchers from doing it. They have umpires checking pitchers, but they still don't have it. I mean, it's still being done. It's being done a lot. There's guys getting caught with it being done, and when I say being done, naturally, I'm talking about putting a substance on the ball to get a better grip, therefore increasing spin rate, whether it be breaking balls or fastballs for pitchers. So you're giving something away from the pitcher by taking away those pickoff moves, but you're giving it back to him by letting him cheat. And let's face it, people are up in arms about cheating in the game. That's flat out cheating. You're not allowed to add substances to the ball to get a better grip on it. I don't want to see a pitcher standing on the mound with a brand new baseball in his hand that hasn't been rubbed up. Right. I get that. It's dangerous.
It's so slippery. People don't realize,
it's slippery too.
Kurt, it is, imagine that on a cold day. And now I grew up in Chicago, and imagine being a 40-degree day sometime in April and even in March. And it's so hard to get a grip on the ball, right? So you're trying to rub this thing down, and you can't really rub it down. It's almost like throwing a snowball or an ice ball, right? Right? So,
it really sucks.
Right. Hey, come on.
But I can see what side you grew up on.
Hey, listen, the Cubs lost me, and I'll get into that in the next segment. But the reality is, look, I'm trying to throw that ball, and for me, everything that I threw, I always throw off the seams no matter what. I've got to have – that's the only way I could grip the ball. For guys that grab it in the middle, I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it, because I'm thinking when we get a new baseball, you got to hold on to it somehow. And this is the only way to hold on to it. That's it. You don't have a choice.
Well, which brings us to the point of fundamentals in the game today. I was taught at an early age, and I had to work on it literally every single time I played catch, was I would catch the ball, grab the ball, and by the time I was ready to throw it, I had the ball spun to where my two fingers were going across seams.
That's right.
Because as an infielder, you wanted to throw the ball across seam so it wouldn't tail.
Correct.
Or slide on you.
Hold that thought, because when we come back from break, we have to go to break, take care of a little business. I want to stay on this topic about holding the ball when it's too slippery and everything else, because a lot of people don't hear about this, but I think the audience needs to hear it. We're going to be back here with Kurt Bevacqua. And look at that Padres hat. That's a great hat. Everybody watching on TV, put that up close to the screen so we can see it. There you go. That's the hat they should have wore throughout eternity with that club. And there it is. Look at Dirty Kurt's. What does it stand aside?
Dirty Kurt's dugout.
Dirty Kurt's dugout. All right, back here with Kurt in just a few moments, folks. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on The Circus.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Don't wait. Call right now. 888-794-1630. 888-794-1630. Write it down. 888-794-1630. Again, for the last time, 888-794-1630.
You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. This segment brought to you in part by a great story I was just getting from Kurt Bevacqua. And here's Kurt to tell you all about that story about the 8th inning and Bruce Sutter.
Well, we were talking about the South. You went to the South Side, and you used to be a North Sider fan. And I was just going to tell you, I went into as a matter of fact, it's one of my favorite box scores. I went into pinch hit one day. Dick Williams sent me up against Sutter in the 8th inning. Men on second and third, 2 outs, and we're down 3-0 to the Cubs. I get a base hit, drive in 2 runs to make the score 3-2. I come up again in the 9th inning, and Sutter's still in the game. And I drove in 2 more runs to win the game.
Oh, my God.
So I went 2 for 2 that day against Sutter with 4 RBIs and won the game. And then you switched to the South Side. That's where I got my first American League home run in the upper deck of Comiskey Park against Wilbur Wood.
Wilbur Wood, the lefty.
Yep.
He had that here's my glove, right? So Wilbur Wood had that, and then when he threw, it was almost like he was rolling his arms. You know what I'm saying? That's because you threw that knuckleball every pitch. Oh, I know. But, I don't throw a knuckleball like everybody else. I taught myself how to throw it. And, of course, remember, everything on the seams, right? We'll talk about that in a second. I threw mine like this. And somehow I stopped it from spinning. And because I tried it in the middle of the ball. I just couldn't hold it. And I would grow the nails purposely so I could. Oh,
you mean you weren't always on the seams?
No. Well, no. I started off.
Surprising.
I start off like this, off the seams. And I didn't do 2 fingers like a lot of people do, right? They'll throw it like this. I tried that. I couldn't do it. I actually have to use 3 fingers to do it. Imagine that. But somehow
Charlie
I got
Duff uses 2 fingers.
Yeah, somehow I got it to do its thing, but trial and error. That's a great story about Bruce Sutter because you've got to be one of the only people alive that ever did that against him.
Well, every dog finds a bone.
Well, hey, even the clock gets it right. A stop clock twice a day, right? If you know what I mean. But anyway, no, great story. So we left off, we were talking about the slippery ball, right? Thinking about that new baseball. Now, whether it's cold or whether it's not, folks, if you've never grabbed a brand new baseball out of a box or not had it rubbed down, you probably realize that, hey, this ball may be a little bit slick. Right? So, we're going to have to rub this thing down a little bit. Well, unfortunately, when you're playing not in the big leagues and you get a new ball, it is hyper slippery. Hyper. And so here's Kurt as an infielder trying to get a grip on this ball. Luckily, right, you have a chance to maybe rotate it in between your motion to throw to first base. But reality is that ball's very slick, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely it's slick. And, there's sometimes where as an infielder, think about it. You see guys take their time on some ground balls, but yet there's other ground balls that shortstop goes in the hole, he's deep in the hole, and he comes up and throws. There's no way that a shortstop has time to turn that ball around and get it across seam. He just has to throw it. And, I see more and more guys starting to one-hop the ball to the first baseman,
right?
That especially are deep in the hole at shortstop. That was something that was made famous by Dave Concepcion with Cincinnati Reds back in the 70s. He used to do that on point all the time, and it was a successful endeavor on his part. He became one heck of a shortstop. But I see more and more guys using it nowadays in this day and age in baseball, and I think they've gotten smart by doing it that way. You don't have to worry about the spin as much. You don't have to worry about the ball cutting and sinking when you don't have the ball across the seams. But
right.
The thing that used to drive me nuts was I coached in Little League Baseball for a couple of years. They would take these balls literally, like you just said, out of the box and throw it to the kid on the mound to use in the game. They would run out of ball. The umpire would run out of balls. The coach would go get a couple, and he'd throw one out to the pitcher. The ball's not been ever rubbed up. but yet they're giving it to a 12-year-old kid. And I'm on the other side of the field, and I go, somebody rub that ball out. I mean, he's going to lose control of that ball, and one of the kids are going to get hit in the head.
Yep.
That's the one thing you worry about, naturally, the control issue. But you don't want, kids in Little League, when they hit one of the opposing batters, they feel terrible about it.
Right.
And that's something that needs to be done in amateur ball even more than professional ball.
Kurt, a lot of the mechanics, you're talking about maybe a shortstop throwing to first, whatever, and they're bouncing the ball in, it can be very effective as long as the throwing mechanics are intact. And what I mean by that, you certainly know this. When somebody throws 3/4, that ball could go anywhere. But when they throw over the top, that ball is going to go in a straight line. So as long as that fielder squares up their shoulders to their target, they're going to throw it in a straight line, and the chances are it may be in the dirt, it may not. It doesn't really matter. The fact is it's going to be on target. It's up to your first baseman to pull that thing in.
Most of the time when a ball's thrown over the top also, if it's short hop, it'll stay down. When a ball's thrown sidearm and it's short hopped, and when I say short hop, I'm talking maybe 3 or 4 feet in front of the first baseman,
right?
His outstretched glove. The ball's got a chance to come up, but over the top, it's going to stay down, and that's something that a first baseman can handle.
Right, because as the ball's coming in and spinning, it's hitting, and it's actually knocking the spin off it. So the ball, instead of bouncing up, it'll actually bounce and skid, if you will.
That's correct.
Right, and so there's your physics lesson, folks, in case you're wondering how all that stuff works in baseball. A round of applause for Kurt and your crash test dummy over here. So, I mean, look, it's really interesting stuff when you get guys that kind of know what they're talking about. I know you do, but for me, I don't know. I'm just kind of out there seeing my way through the forest. Maybe I do. But the reality is these are basic mechanics. And if your kids are taught right in the first place, now you're not going to have a problem. Jack and I, when we're talking about, by the way, this is Old School Baseball is Better. Jack McDowell, check him out. Really good stuff. 70s and 90s baseball. Check him out at stickjack111 at yahoo.com. Stickjack111 at yahoo.com. All right, that's for Jack. Jack gave a really good demo for pitching on air. It was phenomenal. And he was really going into the details because I asked him, I said, Jack, we've got a lot of pitchers getting hit. And I know mechanically why they're getting hit. But, a lot of these guys, they'll throw the ball, they'll fall off the hill, right? Which makes them highly susceptible. And, oh, by the way, that leaves a gaping hole right over second base, too, if you know what I mean, right?
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it does. And, pitchers have to feel their position. And They've got to get themselves into a position to field their position. Unfortunately, you've got the Gossagers of the world from my era that'll fall off the mound and not have any idea which way he's going.
Right.
There are still guys that pitch like that today. And naturally, they're more susceptible to get hit by a line drive if they do that.
Right. I mean, I thank God that I never got hit with a comebacker. But I remember this when I was in my first year of high school. My pitching coach remember Steve Trout, as his brother, was my pitching coach. And so he got me, as a lefty, he got me to throw more over the top, but also to come back and put my front foot down, even with the center of home plate as a lefty, or a little bit to the right of home plate, because that would force me to square up and be ready to field. So I wouldn't fall off the hill. Because if I ended up, my front foot comes down on the left side of home plate as a lefty, that means I'm going to probably throw across my body. I'm throwing all arm on top of it, right? Tommy John, here we come. And the reality is I'm going to fall off the hill. That means anything hit to the right side, I can't field it. And anything hit in the middle, I can't field it. I'm useless.
Well, more importantly, anything that's hit to the right side, you're supposed to cover first base.
That's right.
And when you fall off the mound towards third base, you can't do that.
That's right.
Which causes problems for the defense.
It does. I think you know something about that. Did you play all 4 infield positions?
Well, only a few games at shortstop, but I played a lot of first, second, and third.
Right. Now, I knew you played first, second, third. I didn't know if you played short.
We went through quite a bit of drill, quite the number of drills, especially in spring training. Ground balls at first base with pitchers covered.
Well, look at it this way. In your 14 years of playing, at some point, you knew you were going to be playing all those positions because you have the ability to play first, second, and third anyway. So you know they're going to put you at short at some point just because. I mean, look at the movement of the players today in our last 30 seconds of the segment here. And you see guys, they'll move back and forth between short and third, third and short, sometimes between short and second, which is kind of a strange dynamic because your throwing motion is changing because you're basically going one way and then throwing the opposite way. Did you notice that when you were playing?
Well, no, because they didn't do the same things when I was playing that they're doing today. You know, they're going out looking for shortstops that they can make either second basemen or third basemen. If they're good enough and they're great, they'll stay at shortstop. If not, they'll just move them. It's the same way the colleges do nowadays. They go after shortstops predominantly. Right.
You know what, Kurt, when we come back, I want to talk about that. We're back here in, about 180 seconds, folks. So don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here with Kurt Bevacqua, 14 years in Major League Baseball, and yes, a San Diego hero. Back in a minute.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford.
Really?
He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from The Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Didn't you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? And that was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play. But in the game, I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible.
That's fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes! Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports. You get music.
Hey, everybody. This is Barry Katz from the Industry Standard Podcast, and you're listening to the Sports Circus with Sal Tuzzolino.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are our podcast. No, we don't do a podcast like 2 million other people where you can't find the damn things. These are our actual recorded shows in their entirety, so we don't edit them. No fix it in the mix. It is what it is. It's whatever's out there, so be it. That's the best part about it. Anyway, we're on all those podcast platforms, and of course our affiliates from our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, their pages that they have for us designated as well. And also, make sure you check out the partners page. One of those partners that's been with us since the very beginning is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right. Welcome back to everybody. Everybody streaming, everybody else. Friends of Kurt Bevacqua. And Kurt, thanks for joining us once again here on the Circus.
Hey, my pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, listen, you've got this really cool Padre hat that I think they should be wearing, and they should always wear that hat. It's a great hat. Not this color, that color. Stick with the original colors, the original everything. In the break, we were talking about what the heck's going on with the Padres. You've got a team loaded, absolutely loaded with talent. And boy, they've spent a little bit of money over there too. What's going on with that?
Wow. It was a head scratcher for a long time until I just started watching the games very closely. I'll tell you what, they were playing your Cubbies the other night. And, yeah, they're losing 2-1 in the 8th inning. The first two guys get on base, and who's coming up? Bogarts, Tatis, Machado, and
Nelson? Is Nelson Cruz in that lineup?
And Soto.
Soto. Oh, that's like murderer's row.
Exactly. Bogarts, if you don't know or you haven't been following the team, has under the radar been playing hurt. As a matter of fact, he hasn't been in the lineup for the Padres in the last 3 or 4 days. So this game against the Cubs was just a week ago. So Bogarts is the leadoff man that night. The 8 and 9 hitters get on base. First pitch is a weak ground ball to the third baseman, steps on third, throws the first double play. He has got to bunt in that situation.
That's right.
I don't care whether Soto was up or Tatis or Machado for that matter. Whoever is up in that situation has to bunt.
No out should be made at third base.
No option, because of the fact that this ball club is having a hard time scoring runs.
That's crazy.
But it's the mental things. It's not the analytical geeks up in the front office saying, no, we're not giving away an out. We're not going to let Bogarts bunt. We're going to let him swing away because he's a 300 hitter. Well, he's hitting 250. He's got a bad hand, and he's been in the lineup playing through it, and he comes up in a key situation in the game. As a matter of fact, the situation of the game, in my mind. And I walked out of the ballpark because that was the first game that I attended. I was up in the owner's box, and as soon as he grounded in a double play, I gathered my family up and I said, let's go. The next night, they lose the game, by the way. The next night in the second inning, they sacrifice a guy. The next guy drives them in. They scored another run. They got a 2-0 lead, and they start adding on. And that was the big win they had against the Cubs where they scored a lot of runs. It happened again last night. Cronenworth comes up. Sanchez leads off the inning with the double in the second inning. And what does Cronenworth do? He sacrifices Sanchez to third base for the guy that's hitting behind him, who drove in the run, and here comes another snowball effect. They can take all their opinions that they want to and say Bunton is old school and all of that stuff. It does more to the defense than just analytics. It does the mental part of the game, as Yogi used to talk about. He never could explain it quite the right way, and neither can anybody else, because nobody knows exactly what percentage of the game is mental, but it's huge.
Right.
It's huge what the mental part of the game does to players that are on the field. I don't care if you're at the major league level or at the little league level.
You know, Kurt, a lot of people seem to forget about the pressure that's put on the defense if you're moving runners along. I mean, look, you could score a run without getting a hit. We all know that. But the reality is, baseball today is so analytics driven, they have forgotten about small ball and how to win without getting hits.
Sal, you know the game. Your listeners and viewers know the game. I want to ask you a simple question. As a hitter, go back in time for everybody watching. What were the two best times when you went to the plate? I'm going to tell you. Man on third, no outs or one out. And going up to the plate when the infield's drawn in. That's the two greatest things in the world.
That's gold.
As a hitter.
That's gold, yeah.
That's golden. If you got a guy on second base and you don't sacrifice him over, where's the shortstop and second baseman playing? They're back. They're back. There's no man on third where if you hit a sacrifice fly, it's going to get that runner to home. It might get him to third, but you've got to advance that runner from second base with no outs to third. That's somehow.
Right. That's right.
You got to learn how to do that. The San Diego Padres showed that they can do that yesterday in the game.
Yeah, but somebody has to step up and do it. Somebody's got to step up and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to go ahead and move them over because that's my job, it's what I'm supposed to do.
It goes back to the mental part of the game. When these guys are going to the plate, the score's 1-0 or 2-1 in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and there's nobody on, they're trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark so they can tie the game. Why don't you try to hit the ball the other way where the pitcher's throwing you anyway and get one of the 6 hits that they got yesterday, I'm talking about the Padres, to the opposite field. I mean, it was like it was a brand new team. And I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, if these guys can do that when they're up 6-0, why can't they do it when they're down 1-0? Well, you know, the answer to that is they can. It's all in the mindset.
Right. You know, Kurt, it would occur to me that before every game, and this is just me, one of my favorite hitters of all time, of course, a prior Padre, and that's Tony Gwynn. But Tony knew how to spray the ball. He knew how to hit them where they weren't, and he just was a masterful student of the game of hitting, 100%. And man, this guy, he talked well. He lived, slept, and thought baseball. He was just, to me, you'd open the dictionary, baseball, but hey, there's Tony Gwynn's picture right next to it. This is a guy from a hitting standpoint. You knew what the hell he was going to do, and you still couldn't beat him, right? And that's just how it goes. But if they would shorten up a little bit and not swing for the fences, maybe they'd drive in some more runs and maybe do some fundamentals on that field. Maybe they wouldn't be where they're at right now. They'd probably be in first place.
Well, they need to start teaching fundamentals a little bit more in professional baseball and a little bit better at the minor league level.
Absolutely. And, you know, they've got the El Paso Chihuahuas, a very good club, a fundamentally sound club. I don't know what happens. From the time they go from El Paso to San Diego, something happens where they seem to forget about certain things. Whether it's the coaching, I don't know. You would know better than I. Take 1 minute and talk about that, because that drives me crazy.
Well, there's certainly I actually think there's probably more old school guys hanging around the game at the minor league level than they are at the big league level. And maybe that's why that I'm going to say the Chihuahuas also, that, you know, I see guys coming up from the minor league level that are missing the cutoff man also. I could never understand, scoring-wise, with a man on second base, if an outfielder takes the ball or gets the ball on a base hit and tries to throw that guy trying to score from second to home, and he throws it all the way to home in the air, completely misses the cutoff, enabling the guy that got that base hit to go from first to second, why is that not an error on the outfielder? Why does the pitcher have to be punished where the guy is advancing on the play, but yet there's not an error involved? I could never understand that.
It is a throwing
it's
error.
An error on the outfielder's part.
Kurt, it's absolutely a throwing error, but in today's time here at the end of our segment, I want to finish the segment up with something simple. Look, in today's time, either A, everyone gets a trophy, or B, nobody gets punishment, right? So we don't want to have a spotlight on somebody because they didn't execute like they're supposed to. Oh, no, that's wrong, right? Everyone's going to complain about it. Oh, poor Joey. Joey didn't get a last place trophy. Let's give one to him. That's a bunch of crap. That is a throwing error. You make a great point. In fact, folks, we're going to be back with Kurt Bevacqua in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people, but when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has the Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. One ball, one strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. One ball, two strikes, two out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul out of play. Why not talk about commercial products that don't do what they represent to do? Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, friends. High pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth.
There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. And it is.
Holy cow.
This crowd is wild. There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. And it.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com again for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are podcasts that can be found on any platform. Also, make sure you check out our partners. Lots of great partners over there, and they range from goods, services, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a damn. There's a lot of good stuff up there. There's some great books up there. And you know what? And most of those people that have their extra plugs and whatnot from the partners page, they have been guests right here on the show. You know, Kurt, we've done a couple thousand shows here on the Sports Circus. We've been doing this for a minute, and we've had some really good guests, some exceptional guests. We've had a few that I was like, oh God, I'm trying to slip my wrist and I just can't get it done. I'm 30 seconds into the show, if you know what I mean. You know, come on. But anyway, but most of them have been really good. And I like the fact that we can get dialogue open about real stuff. And let's face it, a lot of the channels out there, they're too scared to talk about things. Oh, they're going to lose a sponsor or some crap like that. We're not afraid of that. We don't give a damn. Guess what? We've got Old School Baseball is Better. That's by Jack McDowell. Check him out at stickjack111 at yahoo.com. Gotta love Jack. Nice round of applause for Jack. All right. So, Jack, there's your plug for your hats and your T-shirt, 70s through 90s baseball. I promised you I'd wear it, and I'm wearing it. All right, so Kurt, we left off in the last segment talking about fundamentals in baseball. And look, the fundamentals go from the offensive side to the defensive side. What about fundamentals in the seating area for the fans? What about the fact that all these people that go to these games now, they're all trying, hey, let's get a selfie. Everyone is so busy paying attention to their phone and their social media, they're forgetting what it's like to actually go to the game and watch the game.
I sat and watched a ball come into the section that I was in the other night at the game. Fortunately for this lady, the ball landed, a foul ball, came screaming, and landed in the seat next to her, which was empty. On her other side was her young daughter. She was on her phone and didn't react until the ball hit the seat. Or in other words, she didn't even see it coming. So if her daughter would have been in that seat, there would have been nothing that she could have possibly done to stop the ball, and she would have gotten hurt.
Right.
It amazes me that people can go through the entire game on their phone and hardly watch the game at all. I wonder why they even go to the game.
I have that problem. Look, when I go to a game with somebody, I just tell them, look, if I'm going to give you a ticket, use the ticket and watch the game. If you're at the game, be at the game. Don't be on your damn phone. I don't care what you're doing. Watch the game. If you need to do something, go in between pitches and do it. Stop what you're doing because there is a very dangerous object that can come in, just like you said. And here's a case in point. So I went to the World Baseball Classic back, I think it was 2009 was the first year, if I'm not mistaken. Dodger Stadium. I'm sitting even with the right fielder a couple of rows off the field. Great seats. And it happened that Adam Dunn was up, big Adam Dunn, right? And what did Adam do? Either he struck out or he clobbered the ball. It was one thing or another. And so when Adam was up, right, so home plate was this way. So I turned this way because I'm waiting just in case the unthinkable happens. And here it is. Adam hits a 15-foot screaming line drive. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to break my hands, but I'm going to catch this ball. Right? Because it's going to hurt. No question. And so here I am. And I'm literally, Kurt, I'm in position. I'm like, I got this. I got it. And I'm just out of my seat a little bit. And I'm getting ready to catch this. And I swear to you, whatever. This ball drilled the Japanese lady right in the side of the head who was busy on her telephone. I swear to God. And guess what? She didn't feel a thing. She just kept doing this. She's like, oh. And she kept doing this. The guy behind grabbed the ball, and he and I had our hand on the ball at the same time, and he ripped it out of my hands, like, whatever. And he gave it to her. I'm like, wait a minute. She's already touched the ball once. She doesn't deserve the ball again. But the reality is she wasn't even paying attention. Luckily for her, she didn't get hurt. And, man, it hit her square in the side of the head. And, Adam would hit those low line drives that you almost want to duck because it's probably going to either rip your glove off or rip something apart. I don't know. But there it is. Again, when you see this happen, and it happened right next to me, I'll never forget it. And I remember it just like it just happened. But again, if you're going to the game, go to the game. Stop screwing around on your telephone. Now, and by the way, Kurt, it's because of that nonsense that we have to have netting around the whole lower section. To me, that's ridiculous, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten used to that. Actually going to my son's college games and also when I happen to go to a game and sit on a field level, I've kind of gotten used to where I don't even see the netting. Kind of weird.
It is weird. I mean, think about it when you were a kid and you would go watch your favorite team, whatever. And maybe you'd run down and, hey, can you here, let's grab a pen here. Hey, could you sign this, whatever, right? And there was no netting, no nothing, right? And you could interact with players without this netting barrier, which is a little bit intrusive, but you could just hand them a ball or whatever. Here, please sign this, whatever. And as a little kid, that's what I did. And it was a great thing. But now kids, I mean, they have to somehow squeeze that thing through the netting, which you really can't. You have to go underneath it or something. And it just takes so much out of the game because people are so busy with their cell phones, they can't pay attention. And that drives me bananas.
As long as they have the MLB app, they don't care.
Right. Well, it's like, let me check in. Let's take a selfie and all this other crap. They are so busy worrying about everyone seeing them at the game instead of them actually seeing the game.
Yep. That's a true story.
Wow. Boy, that just makes my blood boil. Nonetheless, so what are you working on these days, Kurt?
I got a couple of things going. I'm the new executive director of the Major League Baseball Retired Players Association. I also have my business that I've been doing for quite a few years now that deals with vehicle location, cars, automobiles. And
tell me about that.
Well, I sell security vehicle locators to really anybody that wants them. I mean, it's not only cars, but it's also motorcycles and golf carts and things like that, where we can track that particular vehicle if we get a call from the owner and tell them where it is, or call into the police department and tell them where the car is going. I'm going to be advertising that on social media here pretty quick, so people will be able to see it.
Well, you know what? Send me a link and we'll put it on the partners page on the Sports Circus. What do you think about that?
I like it. I love it. Thank you.
Hey, that's great stuff. What's the web address?
It's warden.com, wardengps.com, but I'm going to have my own page online that people will be able to go to and order it. I'm putting it all together right now.
All right. Well, when that's done, we'll go ahead and put it on the partners page just because we can, and no one's telling us that we can't. That's the best part about that.
I love that.
I like it too. You have to get me one of those Padres hats. Like, what's the one you're wearing so everybody can see that on TV? What does it say on the sides?
It's a Father's Day gift.
Okay.
We went to the game the other night, like I said, and my wife and two boys gave me this. It's got Dirty Kurt's dugout on it, and then it's got Bevacqua on this side.
That's cool. All right.
And then the little Padre guy on the front. So it's cool. I like it.
You've got Friar on front. How come we don't see that? Why don't we see that Friar on the jersey, right on the front?
He's on the sleeve.
I know, but we need to see him on the front. They have all these different things, these different alternative jerseys and stuff like that. Why not feature the Friar a little bit more?
I don't know the answer to that. I still think the ball club should bring the chicken in.
Yes! Maybe the chicken should be on the arm.
I think the chicken's getting ready to pack it up.
Oh, no. The chicken, that was the most famous mascot, I think, in all of sports.
I mean, somebody's got to. Do you know that his real identity has never been revealed?
Really?
Yeah.
I would have never thought that.
Yep.
The San Diego Chicken was the best. Everybody knew the San Diego Chicken.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he, for a number of years, was probably on the road 250 to 300 days a year.
Wow.
Making appearances at different ballparks throughout the country, not only major league, but minor league also, and in different sports.
Yeah.
So I think the Chicken raked it in for quite a few years.
Well, you know,
did well.
Kurt, do they have a chicken sandwich at Petco?
No, but that would be good.
There it is. You heard it here first on the Sports Circus, the San Diego Chicken Sandwich, brought to you by the San Diego Chicken. Can you imagine that would sell like wildfire? I would buy it just because the wrapper would have the San Diego Chicken on it. I think that'd be hilarious.
Absolutely.
Wow, see that? They need to call me for marketing ideas. Oh,
I like that. I like that idea.
Well, you know, one of my cousin through my aunt was one of your pitchers in the rotation last year. That was Sean Manaea. And Sean's up in San Francisco now. Yeah, he grew up in Northwest Indiana. So it's my aunt's nephew, whatever. It's like a cousin, whatever the hell. But you know what? If they keep certain things around, Sean with the big hair, right? He is one of those guys. You could have done so many marketing things in San Diego with Sean's big hair alone. I mean, look, the guy he's a quality pitcher, but right, you got to use these things that you've got. The Chicken, that's gold, and I don't know why they would even think about retiring the Chicken.
I think the Chicken's going to retire himself.
Oh, that's awful. Well, guess what?
Been around for quite a few years now.
Maybe you can put something together and get that chicken sandwich going. Listen, Kurt, any final plugs, anything you want to plug? Take 30 seconds to do that before we get out of here.
No, I'm good. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to you and talk with all your listeners and viewers. It's been great, and let's do it again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, it's an open forum. Whatever we want to do, whenever we want to do it, as long as there's a conflict with the guest schedule like we talked about before, it's fine. And I love the fact that I don't have anyone telling me what to say. So whatever comes to mind, I don't care if we talk about pickleball. Whatever. That seems to be like a big thing these days. So who knows?
It's a big thing.
All right, one of these days I'll try it. All right, Kurt, thanks for joining us today right here on the Sports Circus. That's Kurt Bevacqua, folks. We're going to see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. So until then, so long, everyone.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.